Welcome into the lounge, presented by DraftKings. I'm Garrett Downing, joined by Clifton Brown. And today we're so excited to sit down with Charles Davis from the NFL Network, one of the best draft analysts out there.
So, you're so kind.
I know.
You know, we go way back.
You guys are buddies.
We go way back. This man helped me navigate the PGA Tour world.
Yeah.
Back in the days of our golf time, I was the first black tournament director in PGA Tour history.
Yes, he was.
And men like him helped guide me along the way. Made sure I didn't make too many stumbles, kept me on track, taught me a bunch of things. I will be forever indebted to this man right here.
That's man.
And the PGA Tour was like, "Can we get him out of here? Tell him to go do some football or something."
We just might make this a conversation, a golf conversation. We say the draft talk for another day.
Listen, let me tell you something. If we ever have that conversation, Clifton and I, we can tell you a few things. we saw a few things on that tour. All right, anyway.
That's an off the books conversation.
That's an off the books conversation. You guys are invited if you want.
Well, Charles, just in terms of football, when you look at the Baltimore Ravens and this team, look, you're a former defensive back yourself. If you're looking at this team and just draft-wise, what do you think stands out about the direction that they could go in addressing this team and getting this defense back to the level that people in Baltimore expected to play at?
Well, it's funny. I actually wrote down a few notes, if that's okay.
Yeah, let's get into it.
And I'm writing down what I think priorities, edge guys, defensive linemen, keep fortifying because – everything I keep hearing about, unfortunately, Justin Madubuike and the injury might not be positive news. So you got to do that. Offensive line, very interesting deal because it certainly looked like in the makings of a group that was going to be around a while. I'm not sure that's the case. Mm-hmm. Plus, you got to prepare for Ronnie Stanley, all right, who, when's that day going to come, things of that nature. Cornerback, safety, always a consideration, especially in this league. It used to be when we were younger. All right, this is me and Clifton. You could never have enough running backs. Mm-hmm. Now you can never have enough corners, safeties, receivers. You just can't. Like, there's no number that's too big. So those are kind of places that I'm kind of anticipating and looking. The interesting part is picking at 14. Some of those edge rushers I've talked about, the biggest ones should be gone at that point.
Right.
Do the Ravens value someone there? What about the offensive line? Because some of those big tackles should be now in Noah and Fano and those guys probably gone. Do they fit into this conversation? Another safety to go along with a Kyle Hamilton type, And this kid out of Toledo, I think is terrific. Okay, absolutely terrific. So we could go on all day with it, but a lot of different places. And for the beauty is with Jesse Minter coming in as your new head coach. It just feels like a continuation of what Baltimore does well. I know it's not going to be John Harbaugh, but I also don't feel like there's going to be like this break in the chain of what Baltimore does and what makes Baltimore Baltimore.
Interesting. Now, one position you didn't mention prominently was wide receiver.
Yeah.
Yet I'm seeing a lot of mock drafts link the Ravens to wide receivers with 14, including Jordan Davis, Arizona State. I'm just curious about him, the type of skill set that he brings. What do you think of him, and why would that be a player who fits into the Ravens' offense?
He's a really good player in terms of good size, good speed. The Ravens have tended, all right, other than number 4, to have receivers of stature, big people, right? Bateman, and just right on down the line. That's what this kid fits. The interesting part is going to be his medical because he's been hurt a bunch at Arizona State and some tough injuries. Had a nice year last year, wasn't hurt, blah, 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 but he's had that. And there have been some concentration drops that I've seen on tape, and I've got a lot more work to do, but I've seen them, and you just wonder about that. And he's right in that grouping with, do you like him? Do you like Carnell Tate at Ohio State, right? Do you like Lemon at USC as leading guys? I can see why people are talking about it. It'll be interesting to see which way those Ravens go because what was the last first-round receiver? Bateman?
Zay.
Yeah. Zay Flowers. And Zay's just a dart, man, just an absolute dart. But Bateman was more that big, strong, physical guy that you throw to after the running game beats you up and you throw it over the top.
Yep.
And there you go.
Yeah.
So we'll see where they go offensively too, because that's been the game before. But you guys saw last year with Lamar being hurt and playing hurt through the year, we didn't get the same quarterback run game.
Right. Charles, something I always enjoy asking you every year at the Combine is the Ravens have a great track record of finding a player that drops for one reason or another. Kyle Hamilton is certainly comes to mind, and there's like so many examples of it. You go back to Terrell Suggs.
Yeah, now you go back to asking all the people who overthought it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
they overthought Terrell Suggs and they overthought Kyle Hamilton, and wasn't it both because of one thing?
Right.
Neither one of them was fast.
Right.
Speed.
Right? Their time speed was not good. So everyone overthought it, dropped them, and the Ravens were like, well, we don't overthink it. They're really good.
Yeah.
And boom.
So the question is then, obviously this week at the Combine, the speed comes up and we're all get excited about the 40-yard dash and who's going to look good and all that. Sometimes you almost find yourself rooting for a guy to not run as fast and then he's available to you at 14.
Oh, you watch those GM tapes, haven't you? Right? When they like a guy and they're like, everybody's like, oh, he only ran this. I'm like, good. That's good for us because he's a good player, right?
So like who in your mind, is there someone that comes to mind, whether it's the testing, whether it's the positional value that you think everyone else could overthink, but then on draft night, you're sitting up there saying, how did he fall to the Ravens at number 14?
I'm going to give you one that's going to be very interesting to see how people actually evaluate him and what they think that he can do. Kyle Lewis, the linebacker safety out of Pitt, I think is exceptional. He had a Senior Bowl week that was just off the charts. Everyone knows who he is. But I think each team's got to decide what he is. Do you want to play him at the safety? Do you want to play him at a linebacker position? Now, we left the Senior Bowl, and I think a lot of people were saying I'll play him at linebacker. But he's a 220, 225-pound kid who can run. Mm-hmm. If you want to plug him in as a safety in certain situations or certain defenses, I think he plays that really well because Kyle Hamilton's about, 220 and long, right? Derwin James, 215, 220, and fast, okay? And then Nick Eamon is faster than all of them, and he's about 7 feet tall.
Right.
So all of that comes into play. The interesting part about it is we're all searching for those guys. And I had someone I was talking about a nickel corner, and someone was saying, well, Eamon Warrior's this, and he got done, and I went, okay, name the next one. Because most of the nickels are still going to look like nickels.
Yeah.
All right? Those guys are freaks. Is there one in this draft? Maybe McNeil Warren coming out of Toledo? Perhaps. But he hasn't played that style. Downs from Ohio State is the best safety in the draft, but he hasn't played that style. Okay. He's a different guy. He's going to be back there, and he's going to patrol everything. He's going to make all the plays you're going to want him to make. He's probably a top 10 talent, which will be interesting to see where he goes in the draft. But that's what I'm talking about when we go through all of this and trying to figure it. But this Kyle Lewis kid, it's going to be very interesting to see where he's not just taken, but how they view him. Because I'll just leave it with this. Who was the kid we had out of Clemson a few years ago that we thought he can play anywhere, Isaiah Simmons.
Isaiah Simmons, right.
Isaiah Simmons. Yeah. He can play anywhere. He can play everywhere. It's what I used to say, what I say about coaches, where I call it whiteboard fever. All right. Back in the day, we used to call it blackboard fever, right? Because that was when you had chalk and a green board. Now you have the whiteboard and the markers, right? Whiteboard fever is, this player, I can play him here. I can play him here. I can do this with him. I can drop him here. I can do this in this coverage. And then you have one confused player who can't do anything. Right? Isaiah Simmons never got it. They couldn't find the right spot for him. Eamon Warrior, Derwin James, Kyle Hamilton.
They got it.
They got it. But I'm guessing they went through some growing pains to get it. Right. But can you get there and find that niche and do it? It's hard to do. You're still going to have a lot of Marcus Joneses running around playing nickel.
Right.
I want to ask you about edge rushers because I'm hearing this draft is deep with that.
Yeah.
Ravens had 54 sacks in 24, dropped to 30.
Which is stunning.
Year. Right.
Did you say the Ravens?
Yes, the Baltimore Ravens.
Did you say the Baltimore Ravens?
Yes, I did. Yes.
That's unbelievable. That's like Pittsburgh not blitzing.
Exactly.
Right?
So, obviously, that's something the Ravens want to change next season.
Yeah. I actually wrote down a few names, if that's okay.
Love to hear
about some of this, right?
Love to hear
we talk about Bailey and Bain at the top of the draft.
Right.
They're gone.
Forget it.
Okay, we're not getting there, right?
Right.
Keldrick Falk from Auburn is an interesting deal because I'm going to give you a quick comp, and that's Trayvon Walker coming out of Georgia because wasn't asked to rush the passer play after play after play after play. So do we believe he's that type of a pass rusher, or is he much more of a piece where he can rush it, drop, all that? All I know is this. I'm not taking a pass rusher in the first round that doesn't actually rush the passer.
Okay.
That becomes Deion Jordan. Remember him coming out of Oregon?
Yeah.
He dropped a lot in coverage. We thought he could rush the passer, never really mastered it, and with a high draft pick was used on a great athlete, and it just didn't work.
Right.
Okay? So those are the type of things I'm looking at. Zion Young out of Missouri had a good Senior Bowl week. There's a Derek Moore out of Michigan who I think you can get in the second round. Okay. Who will come back around and be a good player. Gabe Akis from Illinois, again, getting out of the first round. Mesidor is going to be interesting. Akeem Mesidor out of Miami. Yes. That'll be an interesting one because I do think he's a hand-in-the-ground pass rusher. I don't know that he's a stand-up because Baltimore likes to convert these guys and be able to do both. I'm not saying he can't, but I feel more like watching his game. I feel like it's much more suited to hand on the ground, rush the passer from a 4-3 off the edge, and off we go. Plus, he will be a little bit on the older side. Now, I don't think we ding kids the way we used to. Yeah. Remember how it used to be? What was that scouting term? Overaged. I don't think we do overaged anymore. Yeah. Now, in a lot of cases, almost seen as an asset. Hey, we're getting a mature kid. He's been around the block a little, especially with quarterbacks. Yeah. But we shall see. Right. But there's a ton of these edge guys that you're going to get out of the first round or later in the first round that I think that can play. The interesting part would be, do they fit what Eric DeCosta and crew like out of a Ravens edge rusher? And that's the ability to be versatile.
Well, Larry, Ravens are going to have a lot of options. It's going to be fun to see how all this plays out. Look forward to watching all of your.
It sure will. Yeah. It absolutely will. When we going to go out and, watch some more golf again? When you going to teach me?
As soon as it gets warm, I'm ready. You know that.
Next time we have you on, we're just doing golf talk the whole time.
Yeah, we'll do some golf talk, No, I'm not even going to teach that.
You almost got him.
That'll get us both in trouble because I was thinking about the time, and then there was a time, and there was a time. Yeah, I just got to let that go. Yeah.
Right.
Appreciate it, Charles.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
You're listening to the Lounge Podcast. We're coming to you from the SeatGeek studio. We want to mention our partners at DraftKings Sportsbook. They are an official sports betting partner of the Baltimore Ravens. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. So big thanks to Charles Davis. Sounds like you guys got some stories.
Yes. I don't know how podcast appropriate some of these PGA Tour stories were from our past, but yes, I've known Charles for a long time, always been a personal guy. Anything he does, he really puts the homework in. He was great when he was running a tournament at a Walt Disney tournament in Orlando as a PGA Tour tournament director, and now has ascended to be one of the top analysts at NFL Network, a former college player at Tennessee. So, yes, he's just a versatile guy who really takes pride in his work, and, yes, always interested to hear his insights on the draft.
So after hearing from him, what did you take away in terms of how the Ravens could approach this draft?
I thought it was interesting when he says he doesn't feel that the Ravens are going to depart much from all their philosophy. They've always had draft philosophy with Eric DeCosta, with John Harbaugh, Jesse Minter, a guy whose Ravens are at his roots. He feels that the Ravens are going to kind of stick with the same game plan draft-wise. However, defensively, that's Jesse Minter's wheelhouse. We know the Ravens' defense did not play as well last year as they wanted to, a reason they did not make the playoffs. And, yes, Jesse, I think Charles thinks he's going to look for, and the Ravens are going to look for, defenders who are physical, can pressure the quarterback, beef up the trenches, the things that have kind of been associated with the Ravens since their inception.
I really thought that he pointed to some tweeners, really, in the secondary, pass rush, that the Ravens could be interested in, and the Ravens have shown a willingness to do that and been creative about how they use guys. Kyle Hamilton is the prime example, and every team in the league is looking at what the Ravens have done with Hamilton and say, can we get a piece of that? Right. And I think that the Ravens will be creative and flexible in their draft process in looking at guys who could fit their scheme and then also modifying their scheme to best fit the players that they have. And so in talking to Charles, I just do wonder if there ends up being some value. Maybe it's on the defensive front. Maybe it's in the back end of the defense of players who could be a good fit and also get more value for them because the rest of the league overlooks him. I don't know what this guy's going to be. Is he going to be a linebacker? Is he going to be a safety? Is he going to be a inside linebacker? Is he going to be an outside linebacker? Like those types of those issues that arise when you're going through this draft process, I don't think that's going to scare off the Ravens, and they could end up getting a really valuable player because of it.
Right. I mean, those things have never scared off the Ravens in the past, as Charles and then we heard Eric DeCosta earlier in the day talk about. The Ravens really, really trust their draft board. I think not only do they compile a great draft board year after year, but they have more trust in their draft board, I think, than some teams do. So when a player that a lot of people may not like as much as they do, they have a lot of confidence that, hey, we're right about this player. So maybe it's an undersized pass rusher, or maybe it's an offensive lineman who either is bigger that they're going to convert to another position. Things like that don't scare the Ravens away. If they have enough qualities as a player that they believe they're going to help them win football games, they will, even though it doesn't look like they're taking chances because they're not, going with something splashy, they are taking a chance on a player who may not be the prototypical size, or they may see another vision as what position they can play. They're not afraid to act on that and take that player.
Yeah, Ravens are going to be creative about their process. And as Jesse Minter and Eric DeCosta have said over and over again, they are going to look for players. They modify things to fit the players and fit the personnel and fit the talents of those individual players. And the Ravens will be creative in that. And I think that's going to be a calling card of Jesse Minter and this team really on both sides of the ball. So there's a lot more that's happening here at the Combine. We're going to be covering all of it, bringing you podcasts every single day over the course of this week. Make sure you're subscribed to the Lounge Podcast wherever you listen to your audio podcasts. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're bringing you all sorts of content this week. So really fun week here in Indianapolis. You can email us at thelounge@ravens.nfl.net. Thank you for watching and listening, and we'll be back with you again soon.